Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a pretty powerful mystery. Why do some people just seem, well, lucky their entire lives, while others constantly face bad luck? I mean, we all have that one friend, right? You know, the person who effortlessly glides into the absolute best parking spot right by the front door, who constantly wins local raffles, or who manages to stumble into their literal dream job just by chatting up a random stranger in line for coffee. When you watch these moments play out, it genuinely feels like the universe is just playing favorites. Somebody miraculously wins the lottery, or another person narrowly avoids a terrible accident by mere inches. But today, we're going completely past the superstition. We're going to look closely at the hard data and the fascinating psychology to understand what's really going on behind the scenes of these seemingly magical moments. Before we flip the proverbial spinning coin on its head, ask yourself, is luck exactly what you think it is, or is there an actual science to those unusual streaks of success? When we think of luck, we almost always picture a roulette wheel stopping dramatically on a winning number, and we immediately attribute that to some unseen, mystical force. But what if we've been looking at this completely backwards? We need to figure out if this is just the cold, hard math of the universe playing out its endless combinations, or if there's something incredibly active happening right inside our own brains, something that literally shapes the reality of our own good fortune. Okay, let's start with section 1, the mystery of luck. When we look at dice rolls, coin flips, lottery balls, or even just unexpected encounters on the street, we really have to break down what's actually happening in our minds. Humans are, at our core, incredible pattern-matching machines. We absolutely hate randomness. We desperately want the world to make sense. So when we experience a rare coincidence, like, say, vividly thinking about an old friend you haven't spoken to in years, and then bam, your phone rings and it's them, our brains want to assign deep meaning to it. We start blurring the lines between random chance, basic mathematical probability, and our own human perception. The universe is endlessly churning out random events every single millisecond. A lot of them are incredibly unusual, but it's entirely our human perception that slaps the label of luck onto those outcomes just to make sense of all the noise. Which brings us to section 2, your brain on luck. Let's think about a highly realistic scenario for a second. Picture two different people walking down the exact same city street on the exact same day. The first person is heavily distracted. They're hunched over, endlessly scrolling through social media on their phone, completely lost in negative thoughts about their day. Because they're closed off to their environment, they walk right past a literal golden opportunity. Maybe it's a flyer for their dream apartment, or a former colleague sitting at a cafe who is looking to hire someone exactly like them. Now, the other person is observant. They are completely present in the moment. They're looking around, taking in useful information, making eye contact with interesting people, and just seeing unexpected possibilities all around them. This observant person naturally encounters more opportunities, simply because they're actively paying attention. They didn't magically summon good luck from the sky. They just had their eyes wide open when the universe presented a chance. You see, when a person observes their surroundings, their brain is relying on specific psychological mechanisms that literally filter reality. Think about the massive role of selective memory and confirmation bias. To put it simply, confirmation bias is our brain's tendency to automatically cherry-pick information that confirms what we already believe, while throwing out all the evidence that contradicts it. Have you ever heard someone say, "I knew something lucky would happen today," when they find a $20 bill on the sidewalk? Well, what their brain is doing right in that exact moment is causing them to remember this one successful coincidence vividly, while conveniently and completely forgetting the hundreds of perfectly ordinary, boring days that preceded it. Our brains are basically hardwired to highlight the hits and completely ignore the misses, creating this incredibly powerful illusion of a lucky streak. Psychologists have actually extensively studied people who genuinely consider themselves highly lucky versus those who feel terribly unlucky. In one famous experiment by researcher Richard Wiseman, people were handed a newspaper and asked to meticulously count the number of photographs inside. But here's the catch. The researchers secretly placed a massive, half-page advertisement right in the middle of the paper that read, "Tell the experimenter you saw this and win $250. The self-described lucky people flipped through the paper and spotted the giant ad almost immediately. They stopped, claimed their money, and smiled. The unlucky people, however, were so rigidly and anxiously focused on the specific task of counting the little photographs that they turned right past a massive, glaring opportunity for free money. They totally missed it. This has absolutely nothing to do with supernatural forces favoring one group over another. It's a measurable, dramatic difference in human attention and openness. All right, moving on to section 3, the probability illusion. Let's zoom out from the individual brain for a minute and look at the sheer, staggering math of our world. Think about the law of large numbers. If a 1 in a million event happens, it sounds like an absolute miracle, right? But in a world with 8 billion people going through thousands of interactions a day, a 1 in a million event is statistically guaranteed to happen to millions of people every single day. If enough people experience enough random events, some individuals will inevitably experience extremely unusual, prolonged streaks of success purely mathematically. It's exactly like flipping a coin. If millions of people are flipping coins all day long, someone, somewhere, is going to flip heads 20 times in a row. It feels like destiny or absolute magic to that specific person experiencing it, but zoom out, and it's really just the law of large numbers doing its daily work. And this brings us to a huge psychological trap called survivorship bias. We look at a wildly successful person, a famous actor, a billionaire entrepreneur, a star athlete, who appears to have this effortless, incredibly lucky life. But we're only seeing the bright sliver of their visible wins. We are entirely blind to the massive graveyard of failed attempts, the rejected applications, the missed opportunities, the years of grueling, unseen practice, and the thousands upon thousands of perfectly ordinary, boring days that actually got them there. We see the tiny handful of people who succeeded, but we don't see the enormous stadium full of people who tried similar things and didn't succeed. This highly skewed vision makes success look like pure magical luck, rather than a combination of incredible volume, relentless persistence, and probability. Which sets us up perfectly for Section 4, Chance Meets Preparation. When we look closely at outcomes in our daily lives, whether that's in sports, business, or even our personal relationships, we have to actively separate what we can control from what we can't. Outcomes are almost always a mixture of both. You absolutely cannot control the randomness. You can't control the lottery, the coin flips, the sudden economic shifts, or random, unexpected events. But skill and behavior, your preparation, your networking, your continuous learning, and your persistence, those are entirely in your hands. This means two people can experience the exact same random event or opportunity, but only one might be prepared enough to actually use it to their advantage. Take a moment to think about a programmer who stumbles upon a job posting for an amazing, high-paying startup role just minutes after it goes live. That is chance. But the fact that they spent the last 6 months staying up late every single night learning the exact coding language required for that job, that's preparation. And the fact that they immediately update their resume and hit send before anyone else, well, that is action. What looks like pure luck to an outsider is actually a very precise equation in motion. It's chance plus preparation plus action. The opportunity presented itself, sure, but without the intense preparation and the immediate leap into action, that fleeting moment would have just passed by as another perfectly ordinary, unremarkable event. So the big question you're probably asking is, can you actually make yourself luckier? Well, the science says yes, but not by learning to magically control the universe. While you cannot control randomness, you can absolutely adopt scientifically reasonable behaviors to drastically increase your surface area for luck. You basically want to increase how often you enter situations where good opportunities can naturally strike. If you go out of your way to meet more people, try completely new things, stay intensely curious, and avoid rigid, anxious thinking, you are mathematically expanding the space for positive encounters to happen in your life. You aren't changing the fundamental odds of a coin flip, but you're flipping the coin far more often, and you're vastly more prepared for when it inevitably lands on heads. Let's bring this all together in Section 5, Redefining Human Luck. Picture yourself standing on a busy street corner as thousands of people move all around you. Every single person walking by is a random variable, a rolling set of dice, really. Ultimately, luck isn't some magical aura or mystical force following certain chosen people around. What we call luck is simply a highly complicated, beautiful combination of probability, human attention, behavior, preparation, and sudden opportunity. Chance merely opens a door and creates a possibility, but it is entirely your actions, your awareness, and your readiness that determine what you actually do when you're standing in front of that open door. So, the next time you see a coin spinning in the air, or you hear someone humbly call themselves lucky after achieving something massive, I want you to leave this explainer pondering one final powerful question. Was it actually luck, or did they simply notice an opportunity that everyone else completely missed? Is luck truly a matter of pure randomness? Or is it fundamentally a matter of human psychology? If this explainer changed the way you think about luck, keep that observant mindset active. Keep expanding your surface area. Pay close attention, stay prepared, and I'll see you in the next one.